So this is Nothing's newest flagship, Nothing Phone 3, and this will be my rawest opinion about this. Hashtag no script. So let's start with the design first, because this is by far the most controversial part of this phone. It is in fact so controversial that I've never seen this much discourse and polarizing opinion about a design of a phone like never. It's amazing how much discourse around this phone's design is, and I kind of understand it because you don't see this type of design every day, like off-center camera, a bit of a different type of design, which is iconic to nothing, I must say. But am I crazy to say this, that this design has kind of grown on me? Am I too crazy to say that? I think I might be. But that's my opinion. I'll be honest with you. The first time I saw this design, I was like, what this smoking? Because of the off-center camera and what they are doing with the whole geometry type stuff. And I thought, is that what they came up with? 2 years of development? But something weird happened. It started to click, and it especially clicked when I got my hands on this phone. So yeah, I think I'm going crazy. But design is subjective. Let's be honest here. Design is subjective. There are people like me who like the design. There are people like others who don't. If you're gonna like this, you're gonna like this. That's it. That's all I have to say. This design right here, they're calling it modular type design, and not gonna lie, this phone kind of reminds me of Project Ara from Google. If you remember correctly, Project Ara from Google was their prototype type stuff that you can basically pull up a camera sensor and fit a different type of one. Basically modular type phones. So if you're not liking the camera, you can just pull it out and fit another one. That was their whole philosophy behind Project Ara, and this kind of reminds me of that. By the way, if you're wondering that why the telephoto sensor is so off-center in this phone, they kind of explained it to us by showing a diagram that it's basically because of the PCB and the components arrangement. It's because of the overall design they do. You see right here, this is the flash, and beneath that there is the flicker sensor. So besides that, here we got the telephoto sensor. It is an L-shaped telephoto sensor we got, and because of the design constraints, they said they couldn't fit the sensor from Nothing Phone 3A Pro that we were wondering. But I don't think that would be a problem, and I'll explain that later in the video, because I think this sensor is good, actually, pretty good. From my initial testing, I was immediately blown away. And that's your answer basically why they made it off-center. It's basically because they couldn't fit the telephoto sensor properly. Moving forward, they have replaced the glyph interface with the new glyph matrix, and I feel like it's an evolution. I'll be fair with you. It feels genuinely good, and the glyph toys they gave us are a gimmick, but who doesn't love gimmick? Come on. The phones are getting so much boring. We keep getting rid of the gimmicks. We need more gimmicks, honestly. Hashtag more gimmicks. Sorry, that was cringe. Anyway, you can activate the glyph matrix by long pressing this glyph button right here. And this type of different types of glyph matrix and stuff and all that stuff. These are fun to look at, not gonna lie. These are definitely fun to look at. I don't know if this serves any purpose. They might. But what I'm more interested in the essential glyph this time around. Because I think choosing glyph matrix for essential notifications basically is pretty good actually. Let me explain. Suppose we get a message WhatsApp from our friend, we can set them as a glyph notification, and at one glance we can see if we need to pay attention to that. But there is a bit of a flaw. You can't really see the importance of that message. Like, does this message needs my immediate attention, or I can respond to it later? I can't see that from this glyph matrix, and that was the same issue I had with glyph interface as well. So I can see glyph matrix as an evolution of glyph interface, but the same problems sort of still linger around this. But still, I like the choices they made in this case to switch out glyph interface with glyph matrix. I am saying glyph a lot time, blabbering. Anyway, that was me covering glyph matrix, and in other aspects you get the unique nothings design, of course, and the glass back is made of Corning Gorilla Glass briquettes. The sides are aluminium, and the same button layout that nothing has basically been using since phone 1. I won't give my final ratings in this impression, so you have to wait for my review for that, which will come out probably next month. Anyway, we talked a lot about the design. Let's turn into the front and talk about the display. In the display's case, we get a 6.7 inch 120Hz AMOLED LTPS display. Now in this display's case, I'm a bit disappointed, not gonna lie. When we are paying 80,000 rupees, I'd expect to have a LTPO at least an LTPO. I mean the colors reproduction and all that stuff, but let me explain the difference between LTPS and LTPO. Why I am claiming that they should have given us an LTPO display. So in LTPS display, we have two modes in 120Hz phones. A 120Hz mode and a 60Hz. In some phones, we also have a 30Hz phone, and I believe this phone has that as well. 60Hz or especially 30Hz works when the display is idle, and when you are using the display, it switches to 120Hz mode. Why this is a problem? Because I am not using the display and the display is remaining idle, it still refreshes at 60 Hz, which drains battery. But that is not the case with LTPO, which can scale all the way down to 1 Hz. So in the idle state, it just refreshes the display 1 Hz at a time. So that is obviously more efficient and thus preserves more battery. I don't have any complaint with the battery in this phone, don't get me wrong, I'll get to it later. But an LTPO display would have been a much better option, especially when I'm paying 80k for this phone. That's my opinion. In other aspects, the display color balance is good, the color reproduction is good, the dynamic range, the color contrast, everything is good. It's a 10-bit display with HDR10 plus support, and it can go up to 4500 nits of peak brightness in HDR content. Now, outdoor scenarios, 1600 nits of outdoor brightness and 800 nits of regular brightness. Also, this is a 2K display, so of course the content will be good. Anyway, that was my rant about the display. Let's talk about the other multimedia experience. The speakers this time around is really good. I mean, I would be really mad if they put mono speaker in this beast right here. But overall, you won't complain about the multimedia experience. About the software, we get nothing with 3.5. It is not that different from Nothing OS 3.2, which I reviewed and made a post about on Twitter, which you can follow along in the description. And also I made a Nothing OS 3 video, which you can watch right here. Overall, the changes they have made is with the essential space stuff. Basically, you can do now flip to record. Suppose the phone is locked and you long press the essential space button. It will play a nice little animation on the click matrix and it will record your conversation with others. Suppose you are in a meeting. This can be a really helpful one. And you can also set different marks when you think there are important points to be noted about. This is one change they made. Another change they made is to do with essential space itself. Now it can automatically categorize your screenshots and put them in a collection. Good feature. But the biggest feature by far with Nothing OS 3.5 is the essential search. It uses an AI model based, I think it's Gemini, to search your query and give you a result in a nice little UI. Sort of like Perplexity, but much more concise. I think this feature is great, honestly. It is really helpful. I was using Twitter and it was feeling laggy. So basically the posts weren't loading. So I asked, is X down? It straight up said yes. So you can search this type of stuff as well. I think this is a great addition. Anyway, I like the Nothing OS 3.5. I keep blabbering. One aspect I am impressed with, another aspect I am impressed with, the battery. The battery of Nothing Phone 3 is incredible, and I wouldn't expect anything less. It is basically at this point a staple for Nothing to provide great battery. This time around they have given us a 5500 mAh of battery and 65 watts of charging. I can test that 65 watts of charging this time around because they gave us a 100-watt charger to test it. So I'll be posting both screen time usage and charging results on Twitter. So stay tuned. Overall, after one day of my usage, the battery is incredible and I have no complaints with that. The charging speed also seems great, but I have to do more testing with that. What I am the most impressed and by far the most surprised with though is the cameras. This time they have given all 50 megapixel camera setup, 50 megapixel main. I believe it's Omnivision OBS sensor. I will put the exact name right here. The ultra wide is a Samsung sensor, and the telephoto is also a Samsung sensor. But just because it's a smaller sensor compared to Phone 3a Pro, don't get it twisted. This sensor is incredible. As you can see in some of the shots, I took some macro with this sensor. It has autofocus and up to 10 centimeters of focus distance. So you can take some incredible macros. They look delicious. I mean, I was blown away by the detail it captures with this sensor. I think it has to do with both Snapdragon 8s Gen 4's ISP and Nothing's optimization on cameras, which is on point this time around. I haven't seen any color shift between all these sensors, and all of them capture great colors with no oversaturation issues this time around. They have fixed the cameras honestly. The ultra wide is good, 50 megapixel ultra wide. The details there, and the main sensor is also good. The selfie is also a 50 megapixel sensor. The facial details and the skin tones and everything like that seems good. As with all other Nothing phones, they always bang on the skin tones. In video aspects, you get up to 4K 60 on all three sensors. I didn't face any issue with that. Although you can switch between all three sensors seamlessly only at 4K 30 fps. The video quality looks decent enough. I have to do more testing. and I couldn't get any night samples with this except this one, which seems alright. I will do more testing with this in the coming weeks, and I will be posting my findings on Twitter. Overall, I am very impressed with the camera system. Another aspect I am impressed with is the performance. They gave us a Snapdragon 8S Gen 4. They should have given us a Snapdragon 8 Elite. I'd admit that the Snapdragon 8 Elite would have been a much better processor than Snapdragon 8S Gen 4. But the Antutu score of 8S Gen 4 is good as well. The Geekbench score is good as well. I don't see a problem with 8S Gen 4 with this thing. Also, they gave us an explanation on why they chose 8S Gen 4 over 8 Elite, and they said that since they are a smaller brand, the vendors don't trust them with higher capability processors like 8 Elite. So they had to settle with 8S Gen 4. Also, they made a question, like I am thinking about this a lot. If they put 8 Elite in this thing and priced it at 1 lakh, would anyone would have bought this? Would anyone would have bought this? That is an interesting question. I think loyal Nothing fans will still buy and appreciate this phone, even with 8S Gen 4. But to reach the average consumer, I think they need to lower the price a little. I think the 80k is asking a bit too much. But I didn't face any issues with 8S Gen 4. Of course, I want the performance is superb, and ISP in this thing seems also capable enough to capture great photos and videos as well. Honestly, the processor thing was kind of lose thing for them, I think. But I think they made a good enough decision with this. If what they are saying is true, then I think this compromise seems good enough because this is still a capable processor. But I am still wondering how many people will buy this. How many people can justify a new brand pushing 80k? Because Nothing is still relatively a new brand. I guess we have to wait and see about this. But for me, as a reviewer, I really enjoyed the performance of this thing. Yeah, that was my initial impression for this, and performance of this. I played some games like Genshin Impact at highest performance, and it ran smooth like butter. They gave us a vapor chamber cooling system, which is a 4000 millimeter square, I think, of size. The cooling seems decent, but it can get heated up, especially in this area. I think the heat distribution could have been a bit better. I don't know if they could have fit a better cooling chamber in this thing. I asked them, and they were wondering as well. But yeah, there is no issues with overheating and no such things. It can run really smooth. By the way, Nothing Phone 3 right now is available at 80k, like 79,999. But if you have a Phone 2 or Phone 1, you can exchange that for up to 50k, which I think is good, and you get good value for money. But funnily enough, if you have a CMA Phone 1 that you might have bought for 15k, you will get a whopping 18k in exchange for Nothing Phone 3. So if you have a CMA Phone 1 and if you want to upgrade straight to Nothing Phone 3, pretty good option, not gonna lie. By the way, this video was recorded on Nothing Phone 3. Let me know how is the details. Anyway, That concludes my initial impression for Nothing Phone 3. Overall, I am really liking my experience with this phone, and I am really excited to experience this a lot more in the coming weeks. So stay tuned. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.